here this morning that we're going to start out with. One is private property assistance program, and then we're going to, of course, talk about the weather that we're expecting here this weekend. So first of all, on the private property assistance program, we announced this week that we have a deadline to apply for private property assistance of February 14th. This does two things. We know that debris removal and repairs are essential steps in the tornado recovery. We have a limited window to get those projects moving. We're asking every eligible property owner or family member, neighbor, community partner, anybody and everybody to help us spread the word that this deadline of February 14th is an incredibly important one. We need to get those applications in so that we can move forward with these repairs when possible and the debris removal and demolition where needed. The deadline is important for two main reasons, one of which, as we move forward with our state partners, we have got to get work products in the queue. We've got to get the work products out for bid so we can start moving those debris removal and demolition projects forward. We've got to have a good idea of how much stabilization work is needed for those that can be repaired. And secondly, we recognize that this is an area that has had long-standing absentee property owners for decades, and we've got to start being able to go in where needed and really doing some forcible work to make sure that those folks that have been unresponsive for a very long time, we have a mechanism to start bringing people to the table. So, there's no penalty here, obviously, but we're really encouraging folks to engage who haven't already engaged in moving the work forward for their properties. If you haven't yet, I will share just a couple things. Online, you can start that process at appapp.stlrecovers.com. You can also reach our STL Recovers Outreach Center at 4401 Natural Bridge or call our center at 833-925-0977. So we're on hand. We're ready to take those applications and move those things forward. And again, this is for everybody, a residential property owner, residential landlords, commercial property owners, mixed-use property owners. Everybody is encouraged to apply. Okay, on the topic of the day, the hot topic, or the cold topic, if you will, the winter weather that we are expecting. You all know this. We have some very seriously cold weather rolling in over the next few days with temperatures near or below zero and near the negative 10-degree mark for a wind chill. We have a high likelihood of snow. And so the city is kicking into gear to make sure that we are prepared and ready for this winter weather event to keep our residents safe and to keep our roads clear. We know that with those temperatures going below zero, going below 10 degrees below zero, we are expecting to activate the level 4 of Code Blue starting tomorrow. Today we're in a Code Blue level 3, which means we do have shelter space available tonight. The level 4 tomorrow will activate even more shelter space in some of those daytime warming centers. So typically we have shelter space available, but with the level 4, we're anticipating having an additional 600 beds online, bringing the total available shelter space to about 1,000 citywide. We're also going to be fully activating our transportation to shelter, and we have fully activated our winter weather unified command led by SEMA. We just came out of a pretty lengthy call there here this morning, and we're going to be continuing to monitor that and continue to activate the winter weather command calls on a daily basis as we go through this winter weather event. This means that we have close coordination through all of the departments that touch winter weather throughout the event. The National Weather Service, of course, is part of that effort. They have issued a cold weather advisory and a winter storm watch for the weekend, so we do expect this to be very serious, and I encourage everyone who needs a warm place to take advantage of the shelters, to call 211. You'll get the best information, and again, those transportation as needed through our great partners. We know that this kind of weather poses particular risk to seniors and young children and people with disabilities. Our Department of Health is encouraging residents to limit time outdoors, to dress warmly in layers, and to bring your pets inside, to check on neighbors and loved ones, and to reach out where needed. So I have a few folks here with me, of course, because of the anticipated snow. Our street department has begun pre-treating our snow routes and deploying. They're on call and ready to deploy salt trucks and snow plows once that precipitation hits our area this weekend. We have 450 miles of snow routes. It's a big effort, but I've seen our crews, and I know they're ready to work extremely hard. Director Jackson has a great plan, and I've also invited our Department of Human Services here, Director Adam Pearson, to talk some more about the details of how we're addressing and preparing to serve some of our most vulnerable. I'd like to now turn it over to Dr. Pearson to talk about some of the ways in which we're serving our populations most vulnerable, and then we'll hear from Director Jackson.
Sure. Thank you, Mayor. Good afternoon. Good morning, everyone. Great to see you. So as the Mayor indicated, we are activating Code Blue Level 4 tomorrow, starting in the daytime. Tonight is going to be Level 3. Just as a reminder for the community, once we activate Level 3, that does turn on our transportation supports that we operate in close collaboration with the Bi-State Development Corporation. Can't thank them enough for their work with us this winter with the Code Blue operations. They deploy shuttles and drivers in collaboration with our city teams to pick up people at various rally points in the community. So that is being activated again tonight. It's going to activate again all throughout the weekend, at least through Monday. It's looking like we're going to have very, very cold temperatures through the weekend, and so we're going to stay activated at a level 4 starting tomorrow. And just to piggyback on what the mayor was talking about, when we say additional warming centers, what we mean is that the shelters that typically would release people in the morning would stay open during the daytime at a level 4 because it is so cold. So we do have some options for folks to get inside, and we encourage everybody to call 211, meet at the rally points that are available for Code Blue starting at 5 p.m. We can get you transportation to shelter. We have the free transportation through Metro, so we are going to be activating that. I did want to just express my gratefulness to the Department of Health, the Department of Public Safety. Again, Bi-State, we have a number of sheltering partners in the community that have been doing some great work. Peter and Paul Community Services, Gateway 180, Eagles Nest, the Urban League has graciously offered us Rally Point access space. And so we have some phenomenal partnerships that we are working with to bring some of these beds online. Anybody who is interested in seeking shelter should seek shelter. If you have not sought shelter before, please feel free to come inside. We have meals, we have staff that can help you out. If there's anybody with families or disabilities or special access needs, feel free to call 211 for information on how to get into shelter. It's too cold outside this weekend to take any chances, and so we do have options available, calling on everybody to come inside if they can.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Pearson. Director Jackson, if you want to talk about the roads.
Sure. I'm sure that's why everybody's here. Good morning, everybody. As the mayor shared with you, we are prepared for this weekend's event, should it take place. We believe that it is going to take place. Right now, we have 48 plow units that are ready to go once the storm begins. We have, and they're equipped with plows and salters. We also have support from forestry and parks. We have 9 units from parks and 4 from forestry. And we will be meeting with our contractors, emergency contractors here this afternoon. The plan is once the storm begins, we will go out and we will start treating us, as the mayor shared with you. We have already pre-treated we've put over 13,000 gallons of pre-treatment down on our primaries and our secondaries. We're doing our hill routes today. As the mayor also shared, probably previously, she didn't say anything about it today, but our residential streets are going to be a major consideration for us this year. And this season, particularly given what it is likely that we're going to experience this particular weekend. So after we get everything open on the primaries, secondaries, and hill routes, as has been briefly explained in the press release here, we will turn to and start working on those residential streets. One of the things that we're asking residents to understand and to be patient with us about is when we do go into the residential routes, we're going to have to first open them up from the windrows that have been created from the main thoroughfares that we will be treating. Once we do that, we have a QA/QC team that will be going into the residential areas and will be monitoring those areas to help us identify where help is needed. And on the outside chance we have a situation where an ICE event is developing, we will throw all resources towards that ICE event to ensure that we don't find ourselves in a situation that we can't break up out of. Right now, we have 13,000 tons of salt available to us. We will use it all if we have to. So with that, if there are any questions, I'll take any questions.
Can you talk about the ice?
Oh, I'm sorry, Madam Mayor.
Yeah, I just want to reiterate Director Jackson's caution, as far as for community members, for everybody in the community, for residents. This is a pilot, and going into the residential, this is a new effort. We do not have, I want to make sure that residents are aware that we do not anticipate being able to get to everyone's street right away. It is our primary concern to get the snow routes and the hill routes. And as we go into the residential, please bear with us as we are trying this out this round. We anticipate being able to make some serious inroads there. But as we go into this major weather event, I just want to caution everyone, we're not going to be able to get to all the residential right away, but it is our intention to start opening up those thoroughfares once we get those primary and snow routes done.
How are you determining where to start when there are so many residential roads, so many neighborhoods to hit? Is there a list that's forming? What's the priority?
No, ma'am, and that's going to be dependent upon, again, the nature of the road, the area that it's actually in, and what it's actually connecting to. If it's connecting to a primary and we're getting calls from those areas, we're going to go in and try to get those open as quickly as we can. The whole idea behind this is to open them up based on primaries, secondaries, hill routes, and then the residentials. So if we find ourselves in a situation where we can open up residential areas that lead us into safe passageways, we're going to start there.
Mayor, as you said, the homeless, of course, are a consideration in that vein. Even though Propman Johnson built a heating station on the tent encampment, don't you think it'd be wise as a backup to put a warming bus over at that encampment when we got temperatures so low? Don't you think this would justify doing that?
They're so low, Elliot, and as you may know, I hope you well know, this year we have put an unprecedented amount of funding into expanding the shelter space. We know that the shelters are the safest routes, and so we've been really focused on making sure that shelter space is available and transportation is available. This work that, led by Dr. Pearson, alongside of those partners that he was mentioning earlier, has been a huge lift and one that I'm enormously proud the city has done this year for really the first time. And I hear you on the warming bus situation. We're doing our best to provide transportation. We do not want to spread ourselves too thin and not have that transportation to the safest option, the shelter space. I will say, I also like to give a huge shout out to the building division and our public safety department for working with PropMan. This was a topic of discussion again today to make sure that we're doing what we can to make that structure there less unsafe. We do recognize there are some serious safety concerns there. There are safety concerns at 10th and Cass, and we are working to make sure that we're keeping people there as safe as possible.
Why would it hurt to put a warm-up?
We, again,
talking about-
Elliot, as we're going into this season, this is wildly expensive. You know, the city of St. Louis has just an enormous financial responsibility to address this. This is something that the rest of the region does not have. Where you live, for example, your tax dollars don't go into serving the unhoused nearly the way that the residents of the city of St. Louis have this burden.
I pay federal taxes.
You do, but my point is, it is the city right now paying for these things, and the federal government is not providing warming shelters, warming buses, or anything of that nature. In fact, the funding for how unhoused is, from the federal side of things, is being threatened this year like we have not seen in my lifetime. It is a very scary year for those living outside. I hear you. My point is that we have got to be thinking about the unhoused regionally, because the residents of St. Louis cannot, for the ongoing future, continue to be the entity that shoulders the vast majority of this wildly expensive. We know how many millions of dollars we're putting into it this year. And I feel very strongly that supporting the safest options for folks, the shelter space, is the most, is the safest
And you say
option for
St. Louis
folks.
County, St. Charles County, they should be giving more to the city.
Per capita, I'm saying what we should be doing is thinking about this issue regionally. Whether that is housed exclusively or primarily, I should say, not exclusively, but primarily in the city of St. Louis, is something we should be discussing as a broader regional community. I want to give other folks, and I will come back if you have additional questions, Elliot.
Director Jackson, you talked about the number of plows. Can you talk about the staffing levels, the on-call shifts, how long people will be working through the weekend?
Yes, ma'am. We have a total of 90 personnel that'll be working 24-hour shifts. They will be working, no, not 24 hours. They will be working 12-hour shifts with those 90 personnel. So we'll be sharing the load between those two shifts, shifts A and shift B. And then we also have the emergency contractors that I'm going to be meeting with this afternoon to identify what equipment we have available from them, as well as their personnel.
How much pretreatment did you say you already put down?
13,000 gallons.
And at what point do we get to the temperature where it's no longer effective?
Well, typically that's about between 0 and -10. But what we do also is we second coat our salt with magnesium chloride, and that gives us a little extra added boost. Magnesium goes down to -10, but it really loses its effectiveness between 0 and -10.
Mayor Spencer, Dogtown, St. Louis Hills, and Soulard were a big problem last year with the ice. So what is the plan this year?
Yeah, so Director Jackson, do you want to talk about some of those challenged areas? With hills and that sort of thing, so.
Hills, Dogtown, Soulard,
What we-
residential streets,
Sure.
ice everywhere.
May help to also talk about quality assurance, quality controls, partnership with the neighborhood improvement specialists.
Yes, sir.
I think that's really, not everyone understands how you're using that.
Roger that, sir. And that's where we're going with that. This year, we implemented a different team, or a new team. It's called a Quality Assurance Quality Control Team. And that team, it's really, it comes out of the neighborhood improvement section. They don't really know snow. So all they know is driving conditions. And we're putting them out there. We're going to have 16 people out there that are actually going to be reporting in to us and telling us what the conditions look like, to help us identify the areas that we really need to hit based on the driver's or the motorist's perspective.
You said 16 people?
16.
And that's outside of the 90 staff members.
Yes, ma'am, outside of the 90 staff members.
Can you elaborate on that pilot program, providing salt to neighborhood groups and things like that, and how that's been going so far?
We have not,
Making announcements on that?
yes, ma'am.
The last snow event, we were partnering with the Urban League, and we had a 5-gallon bucket program. We recognized there were some bottlenecks there, and so we'll have some more, we were kind of pivoting that to have more drop sites that our residents can go and pick up and utilize their own buckets. That's a work in progress, and we're working through the kinks on that here before the snowstorm.
Is that available for this?
It should be available this snowstorm, and we don't have all the kinks worked out. We should by tomorrow, okay? But we do plan on continuing a pilot. That's why it was a pilot. We recognized there were some kinks in the last way in which we were doing that. We'll have some more information tomorrow for residents.
Mayor Spencer, with the last snow, you talked about how we were lucky after with warmer temperatures. That's not going to be the case this time.
That's right.
Last January, we had an incident where snow and ice stuck around for weeks in the city. What are your concerns going into this, knowing we're going to have below freezing temperatures possibly after several inches of snow?
Yeah, that's exactly right. So my primary concerns are those primary snow routes. And as the director talked about, our first concern is making sure that people can basically get around what is the reliable primary snow routes, then the secondary and the hill routes. And so we want to make sure that, those primaries are done first and done well. And that's where we have the quality assurance team out there to make sure that any of those trouble spots, primarily, particularly bridges and things of that nature that aren't connected to the earth, become trouble spots in that area, in that way. Once we get those done, we'll be able to go into the residentials. And that's where we'll be taking in some of those quality issues that the director talked about. We'll be taking concerns. We know Dogtown and Soulard have been challenges on the residential streets. Not all that neighborhood isn't entirely snow routes. There are snow routes that go through them, but the vast majority of residents don't live on a snow route. And so as we can kind of go in through some of those trouble spots, I mean, you're right. This is going to be a big one. And with the cold temperatures continuing after the initial potential precipitation, this has the recipe to be a fairly long event. And so that's where, again, focusing on being able to get through on those primaries, and that's why we're also preparing to go into the residential sites.
With the freezing temperatures and, sorry, go ahead.
What's something you guys want to do differently compared to last year?
Well, we just outlined a whole host of things. So on the front end, the pre-treatment. We have been out there pre-treating. We're going to continue to pre-treat through this snow event. I mean, until we get that precipitation, we're going to continue to do that work. The quality assurance team, those additional neighborhood stabilization folks that are going to be out there identifying trouble spots, reporting back in, and the real focus on making sure that we get, first and foremost, those primary, secondary, and hill routes done. That was something that didn't happen last round. The primaries and the snow routes, the hill routes, were not done days, in some cases, well over a week into the event. We are going to ensure that those are done. The director mentioned we've also have a meeting this afternoon with some exterior partners that can bring additional resources on. We have our other departments, the forestry and parks, involved with some of their equipment. And we have some additional incentives to our crews, that a snow pay incentive that has really helped bolster up the participation from the employee side, and putting them on those 12-hour routes is going to put more manpower out on the street. So there is a whole host of things. There are a whole host of things that we are doing differently this year. But the monitoring and the quality assurance is going to be a key piece to making sure that those tools we are implementing are effective.
Mayor, will people need to move their cars in the residential streets?
I'll let
Yes,
Director
ma'am.
Jackson talk about that.
That is our preference, and we're asking residents to be mindful of it, particularly when the snow begins, because when we do start going through the residential areas, those vehicles that are parked on the road or on the side of the streets are going to get plowed in. So we're asking them to be mindful of it. If they have driveways, pull their vehicles into the driveways to give us access to those smaller routes. The residential streets are smaller than are the primary and the secondaries. So when we start going through there are going to be windrows that are going to be created. We're going to do everything in our power to push the snow away from the side of the road and down into the center so that we can create piles and push that snow off of the intersection into an area where it won't impede traffic. But that will not deter the fact that windrows are going to occur.
So as a city resident that lives though on a residential street, where should I go? I don't have a driveway.
So-
If that's the advice.
This is the first time we're going to be, so this is a learning opportunity for all of us. We recognize that there are not places outside of your street for most residents to park. And so as we go through this and start to enter those residential, we're going to be working through kinks this year. We recognize that. Again, this is the first time we're really looking into those residential streets. So bear with us through this. We do what we are promising residents, and we stand very confidently on this. We will be addressing the primary, the secondary, and the hill routes. As we pilot into these residential, again, bear with us this year, but this is something we would like to be able to expand into as we move through this.
There was talk last year about having residents park on a certain side of the street to avoid exactly that plowing cars in, especially.
This is going to be a learning curve for not only the street department, but our residents. And as we go through this, I mean, our ambition as we get through this winter will be to come out with a better way in which to operationalize how we do that with our residents. However, as we are right here in the winter, we're not trying to educate residents on how to try to do this event. So, as I said, bear with us through this. I do have full confidence. This year, our main objective was to operationalize and successfully deploy that initiative, the primary, secondary, and hill routes, and to get that done well and to start that work into the residential. We're not going to get it perfect this year, but we are going to get those other pieces perfect. We're going to have the primaries, the secondaries, and the hill routes, and we're going to start the process of understanding of what it will take for our city to be able to get into the residential reliably through winter events. Okay?
Mayor,
But this is a big lift for 1 year, okay? To really get those primary, secondaries, and hills done well, this is a big lift. And I'm very proud of this work, and I have confidence in our street department. We're gonna be able to do that.
Mayor, a lot of people are gonna be suffering most, of course, are tornado victims who are out of their homes. You have said yourself and members of the Tornado Recovery Agency have said they're not satisfied with the pace of things, they're not satisfied with the efforts so far. Do you think it's time to fire some of the people?
No, let me say
running
this.
Let me finish my
Okay.
question. Do you think it's time to fire some of the people running the Tornado Recovery Agency and replace them with people who are more capable for the benefit of the tornado victims?
Let me say this. Our tornado recovery team is doing excellent and incredible work, and I stand behind them entirely. We recognize and share the frustration with residents at the pace. We know that this has been hard, and it is hard. And for everyone involved in going through this horrific event in our community, that the pace is absolutely not fast enough. We're standing with that pain and that experience that our residents are feeling. That said, our team, again, is doing incredible work. We are navigating an ever-changing FEMA landscape. We are working with state partners where a partnership between the state of Missouri and the city of St. Louis did not exist before this tornado. We are building that relationship, and as our state is helping us navigate through the ever-changing FEMA world, it is too slow. We recognize that, but we would not be able to be where we are today without the phenomenal, incredible, and very hard work that the Recovery Office has done thus far, and I have full confidence in them as we move through accelerating this work in the months ahead.
Mayor, on the private property assistance deadline, should that be seen as kind of like the last chance for a resident to come to you? And what will you do if someone comes to you after?
Yeah, I mean, look, we're not trying to punish folks. It's a deadline that is designed to activate our community, to get engaged. We do have resources. We have city resources to help folks repair their homes. Take advantage of it. If you have a home that's beyond repair and needs to come down, we can help you do that. We have the funds. It will not cost you anything. We're not taking people's properties. We are activating the resources we have. We are asking folks to engage so that the resources that we do have can be deployed. To activate those FEMA and state dollars, we have to have a work product. We have to have folks come forward. And so this isn't about punishing anybody. However, some of the folks, like I mentioned, that have been absentee property owners for decades, we do need a mechanism to bring them forcefully sometimes to the table, and we will be doing that soon.
Mayor, you talked about external resources that y'all are bringing in for the snow plows for the event this weekend. Does the city have a backup snow plow company? Is that something y'all are?
So what we're saying, what we're able to communicate to the public right now is that we are meeting with some of those external potential partners here this afternoon. We don't have anything to share right now on what that would look like, but we want to assure the public we are exploring every option possible to have as big a fleet as possible to be able to serve our community.
Director Jackson, I know you don't have a crystal ball, but for a lot of St. Louisans that are going to be fearful of what happened last year where it turned into ice on streets for weeks, if we get to that point, is there anything that can be done once there is ice on streets, or are residents and you guys just kind of SOL?
Well, and that's what we're doing now. That's what the preventative measures are for. That's what the extra coating, the magnesium chloride is for on the salt. The whole idea here, now we're getting into chemistry. The whole idea here is to overpower the ice, the water that's going to turn into ice, to overpower it with chemicals. Once the solar radiation begins to hit that, it will do its work, and then it will melt it. The challenge that we're going to have is Mother Nature, the temperature. So once we get at 10 and above, that's when it's going to start melting, and that's when we're going to start asking for the public's patience to allow nature to take her course. Once we have implemented every tool that we have available to us and put forth every effort that we have available to ensure that we don't accumulate ice where we can, then we're going to have to let Mother Nature take her course.
Ms. Spencer, what's the plan for the school routes? I know last year you were very passionate about it during last year's winter event.
Yeah, we've been coordinated on a couple different fronts. Our street department and our human services have coordinated to make sure that routes to our shelters are free and clear. We're prioritizing those. Director Jackson, can you speak to the schools and other priorities that we are looking at as far as making sure we have access to?
Yes, ma'am. We are coordinating, again, we're coordinating with Dr. Pearson in Public Health. We have not at this point reached out to the school districts, but we have that availability to us, that capability to us as part of our command center. We are working through the details of how the command center is actually going to work. I have every confidence that that's going to be one of the areas, Madam Mayor, that we're going to be connecting to, so that as we need to hit those routes and make sure those areas are open, we can do that for them successfully.
MoDOT did a bad job the last time around. Is there any additional coordination you guys are doing with MoDOT this time to make sure things go a little bit better?
Well, we continue to communicate with our partners. And I recall that interaction, that exchange between us, sir, at our last press conference. We didn't think that MoDOT did a bad job then. MoDOT did what they do. They deployed as they were supposed to.
It didn't go well for drivers.
Well, we don't control that. MoDOT doesn't control that. But what MoDOT did do was they did deploy as their plan had dictated, and they got caught in the traffic because people wanted to get out early. So they did what they were supposed to do.
It just didn't work well. But anyway, I'm not going to stick on that.
Do we have any lingering additional
Mayor,
questions?
is there a
Yeah.
designated National Weather Service meteorologist for the city?
Yes, and we have a team, and they meet with us through weather events on a daily basis. We're briefed, and they are creating customized reports just for the city of St. Louis.
Director Jackson?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have an estimated timeline for finishing those primary, secondary, and hill routes?
Well, we can treat our routes within a 48-hour period. After that, again, it's left to Mother Nature. Our target, and I don't know that this has been publicly stated before, but our target after a storm ends, we try to have everything open within 48 to 72 hours. We use every resource available to us to make that happen within 48 to 72 hours.
Mental health and drug addiction are two of the biggest things fighting the unhoused. Can we talk about what the city is doing to fight that?
Yeah, that's such a true statement and a very sobering reality. The crux of it right now, the city is focused on keeping folks safe through the winter. So our real focus has been on providing space, recognizing that the mental wellness, that health and wellness of people is a challenge. Those are areas that are typically addressed through state and federal partners, and we continue to.
Correct. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if he would like to maybe comment. Like I said, the mental health and the drug problem.
Well, here's what, and I'll let Dr. Pearson speak as well. But typically, I mean, these are areas where state and federal agencies are falling short of meeting the need, absolutely. Cities aren't equipped necessarily to really provide that level of resource, but our shelters are connecting folks to the resources where we have them, and that is what we're focused on doing.
And I really say thanks to you guys actually going out to get to the people, because these are people without cell phones. These are people that don't have access to the internet. They need help.
Sure, yeah, I am a recovering academic, and so what I will say is I'm just going to throw out some statistics here. The American Psychological Association says as of a few years ago that around 1/5 of all adults in the United States struggle with some sort of diagnosable mental illness, right? And so this is an issue that is population-wide. We are obviously paying very close attention to the unhoused population and how they seek services, because there are some inequities with the services that they have access to and the services that many of us who are housed have access to. And so this is not an uncommon problem. What I will say is that we collaborate very closely with the Department of Health, because they have the Mental Health Bureau that is activated to meet people in the community, refer people out to services. There's what's called the Continuum of Care that DHS partners with every single day, a network of over 100 agencies that provide housing, mental health supports, substance use supports, fantastic services all throughout the community. But as was mentioned, the need is often greater than what we have available to us. And so I'm looking forward to greater collaboration with the Department of Health on our outreach teams, making sure that we're connecting with folks on other city outreach teams with Continuum of Care, making sure that people get some of the resources that they need.
Okay, one last question.
I've got a friendly question.
Oh,
Look at that look she just gave me. In any event, what advice do you have for motorists, right? I know you're not AAA.
you know,
What advice do you have for people as they get ready to hit the streets in this particularly cold weather? What kind of cautionary advice?
my advice is, if you don't need to be on the roads, don't be on the roads. I mean, I know that's trite and we say it every time, but seriously, this does look like a very serious weather event. As mentioned, we're not going to have the warmer temperatures that are going to naturally be able to help us out here. And so the roads are going to be slippery. We're not going to be able to get to the residential right away. We know that. But if you can stay off the roads, please do. That's all I have to say. Get your bread, get your milk, get them today. Or maybe get them tomorrow. The stores will probably be out on Saturday. So get out there, get your provisions, and you know, get a puzzle, get a game, figure out some things that you can do at home, and stay home if you can. All right.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Director Dawson, can I get you for just a minute?
Yes, ma'am.